The Zarketh Dominion had ruled the stars for over 1,000 years. Their ships were vast and dark, like moving shadows across the stars. They'd conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved many species. Their name brought fear wherever it was spoken. But they made a mistake. They saw Earth, a small blue planet, and thought it was weak. Humanity had just started to explore beyond their solar system. Their technology was young. They had no colonies in other galaxies, no grand fleets like the Zarketh. But what the Dominion didn't understand was something far more dangerous. Humans didn't give up, ever, when the Zarketh warships came near. Mars, they gave only one message: submit or be destroyed. Earth didn't answer with fear. They answered with silence. Then, a small group of human ships left orbit. They were not large or beautiful. They looked like tools, not weapons. But inside them were minds sharper than steel and hearts that refused to break. The first battle was near Neptune. The Zarketh thought it would be a simple win. Their ships were bigger and stronger. But human tactics were strange. They moved fast, hiding behind planets, launching small attacks, then disappearing. It was like fighting shadows. And for the first time in centuries, the Zarketh lost. At first, the galaxy thought it was luck. One lucky fight. But then came the Battle of Callisto, then Titan, then Alpha Centauri. With each battle, Earth's fleet grew stronger. They learned fast. It's too fast. Each defeat was a lesson. And humans remembered every single one. The Zarketh sent their high fleet, 10,000 ships. A wall of power meant to crush Earth. But humans didn't meet them in open space. They led them into asteroid fields, used decoys, made the Zarketh chase ghosts. The high fleet was broken into pieces. And piece by piece, the humans destroyed them all. The Dominion tried to call for peace. They offered gold, planets, even slaves. But Earth didn't want treasures. They wanted the galaxy to be free. They wanted no empire to ever rule with fear again. So the war continued. One by one, the Zarketh strongholds fell. Their capital, a city built into the side of a glowing blue star, was surrounded. The last leader of the Dominion, Lord Valzen, made one final call for help. No one answered. The galaxy was watching. Waiting human ships surrounded the city. But instead of firing, they sent a message. Lay down your arms. No more blood. No more fire. Valzen refused. He ordered his men to fight to the last. But his soldiers didn't follow. They had seen what Earth did. It's not just in battle, but after it. They didn't burn cities. They gave food. They healed the wounded. Valzen was taken the weak. Valzen was taken without a shot. The war was over. Zarketh Dominion, which had ruled for 1,000 years, was gone. And Earth, a world once laughed at by the stars, had done it. People across the galaxy didn't cheer. They didn't know what to feel. Fear, hope, wonder. The humans didn't stay to celebrate. Their ships turned, slow and silent, and left. They had no songs of victory. Only the quiet hum of engines. But the galaxy would never be the same, and hidden. Corners of the stars whispers grew. Some said Earth was the hand of justice. Others said they were too powerful. Too quiet. And when a second empire started to rise, many wondered, would Earth fight again? The story of the Zarketh's fall spread far and wide, but no one could forget the way it ended. No fire, no screams, just one message spoken across 1,000 systems. We are humanity. We do not conquer. We protect. And the stars listened. The fall of the Zarketh Dominion changed everything. But not everyone learned from it. Far across the stars, the Yulari Ascendancy watched the war closely. They were older than the Zarketh, smarter in their own eyes, and proud beyond reason. They believed the Zarketh had lost because they were weak, slow, and too proud. The Yulari thought they were different. They thought they could do better. The Yulari were cold planners. They never attacked without studying their enemy. For years, they gathered data on Earth. They listened to human messages, tracked their ships, and studied their battles. They even captured a few humans, hoping to learn their secrets. But they made the same mistake. They misunderstood the human heart. One day, without warning, Yulari ships appeared near Jupiter. They sent a message full of confidence. They said they were bringing peace to a dangerous galaxy. They called Earth a threat to balance. They asked humans to step down from power and accept Yulari guidance. Earth responded with silence again. The same silence that came before the Zarketh fell. And just like before, the human fleet moved. They didn't send threats. They didn't brag. They prepared. The Yulari struck first, attacked Earth's moon base, and destroyed a science station. Near Saturn, they expected fear. They got fire. Human ships came from every corner of space. They didn't come in one wave. They came in patterns, split and scattered, like storms hiding in calm winds. Yulari couldn't predict them. Their computers failed to follow the strange ways humans moved. The Yulari called it chaos, but humans called it instinct. In the Battle of Red Hollow, Earth's ships lured a full Yulari fleet into a gravity trap. Dozens of Yulari ships were pulled into a black star's orbit. They vanished without a sound. In another system, humans released clouds of small smart drones that disabled Yulari engines before a single shot was fired. The Yulari grew angry. They started using planet-killer weapons. They fired on empty worlds to scare humanity. But humans didn't run. They rescued people. Even alien species caught in the fire were pulled to safety by human ships. This act confused the Yulari even more. Why would Earth save others during war? Why waste energy helping strangers? But to humans, it wasn't a waste. It was right the war spread to 10 star systems. For every Yulari attack, Earth replied with greater strength. It's not more weapons, but smarter moves. They didn't fight for power. They fought to stop the Yulari from making the same mistakes the Zarketh did. Soon, Yulari leaders began to fear their own people. Their soldiers had seen human mercy. They had seen Earth save the weak, care for the hurt, and fight with honor. Some Yulari commanders refused orders. They stopped fighting. Sent quiet messages to Earth asking for peace. The final Yulari command ship was found near the Blue Crescent Nebula. Surrounded by human ships, the Yulari leader, Prime Lord Sekron, spoke to the human commander. He asked, not with pride, but with something new. Respect? He asked, what do humans want? The answer came clearly. We want peace, but we will fight too. Protect it. Sekron lowered his weapons. The war ended not with a scream, but a breath. A long, slow breath of relief across the stars. The Yulari ascendancy did not vanish like the Zarketh. They changed. With time, they started to rebuild, not with conquest, but cooperation. They learned from what they saw. They had tried to scare Earth. Instead, they were humbled. For the second time, the galaxy watched Earth end a war that others had started. Again, Earth did not take land, did not raise flags over new worlds. They returned to their stations. They returned to silence. But silence no longer meant weakness, it meant warning. The galaxy now whispered not about Earth's strength, but about its will, and far away in the quiet corners of space, small voices began to speak. What if something worse came next? What if another empire rose? Who would stop them? The answer was already known. Humanity would, not for power, not for glory, but because they remembered. And because they believed in something few others did. They believed in protecting everyone, even those who once called them enemies. And the stars listened again. The galaxy had changed. 2 great empires had fallen. First the Zarketh, then the Yulari. Both were proud, powerful, and feared. But both had lost to Earth. Now the stars were quiet. No more wars, no more threats. Just silence. But the silence was not peace. It was fear. In hidden rooms and deep chambers, leaders of many alien races met in secret. They whispered about Earth. They asked the same question again and again. What will the humans do next? Some wanted to prepare for war. They believed Earth was only waiting. They feared the human fleet would grow and strike again. Others believed Earth was different. They remembered how humans helped the weak and saved the hurt. They wanted to talk, not fight. The galaxy was split. Some built weapons, some built hope. In one corner of the galaxy, a council of 12 alien species met. They were from old races. Some peaceful, some not. They had watched the wars. They had seen the rise of Earth. And now they had to decide. A tall being named Coral, silver skin and glowing eyes, stood and spoke. We have seen Earth fight 2 wars. They did not start them. They did not take land. But they did not forgive easily. We must understand their mind before we act. Another leader, small and covered in scales, shook his head. They are too strong, too silent. What if they are planning something we cannot see? A third, soft and bird-like, spoke with a gentle voice. What if they are not our enemy? What if they are the guardians the stars needed? The council could not agree, so they watched. They sent spies, secret messages, and silent probes. But Earth's ships were quiet. They moved only when needed. They did not patrol like rulers. They only stood near systems in danger. When pirates attacked weak worlds, human ships appeared. When slavers tried to steal from poor colonies, Earth's drones stopped them. Still, the galaxy did not feel safe. They felt watched. One day, something unexpected happened. A small transport ship from a peaceful race was caught in a storm near a dying star. Its engines failed. A black hole pulled at it. No one answered their calls. No one came, till a single human scout ship appeared. The human ship was smaller, slower, and older. But it didn't turn away. It moved forward, through the storm, risking everything. The human pilot locked onto the transport and used all power to pull it away. The human ship was lost in the process, but the transport survived. The rescued crew told everyone. They spoke of bravery, sacrifice, and silence. Human didn't speak, didn't ask for thanks. They only said, "You are safe now." This story spread across systems. Many didn't believe it. But more and more stories like this appeared. Human doctors helping in war zones. Human engineers fixing broken colonies. Human protectors who asked for nothing. In time, the galaxy saw a new truth. Earth did not want control. Earth wanted peace. But fear dies slowly. Some still watched with nervous eyes. They said, if Earth is so powerful and so kind, what will happen if they ever stop being kind? In secret places, dark plans still grew. Old enemies hiding under new names. They saw Earth's mercy as weakness. They waited. But others began to reach out. Quiet messages were sent to Earth. Not threats, not warnings, but invitations. We want to talk. We want to learn. We want to understand. And Earth replied, not with weapons, but with words. Let us meet. Let us listen. Let us build something better. And for the first time, in many corners of the galaxy, hope grew faster than fear. The galaxy did not yet trust Earth fully, but they began to believe. And far away, on a quiet moon, a child from a race once ruled by the Zarketh looked up at the stars and smiled, because the stories were changing, and now they spoke of humans not as monsters but as guardians. And the stars listened again. Asterisk ships began to appear near Earth's space. They were not warships. They were not large or strong. Most were old and damaged. Some were missing parts. Their lights flickered. Their engines sputtered. They flew slowly, carrying fear and hope together. They were refugee ships. The first one came from a planet once ruled by the Zarketh. The people on it were small and thin, their eyes full of worry. Their leaders had once praised war, but now they only asked for a home. They came with nothing but a message. Please help us. We have no place left. The second came from a moon that had been attacked by pirates. The people were tired. They had lost everything, but they had heard the stories. They had heard of human ships that came when no one else did. So they flew, hoping the stories were true. And Earth responded. Human ships guided them to safety. No shots were fired. No demands were made. Medical teams came aboard. Food and water were given. The refugees were brought to floating stations, built by Earth long ago. They were not perfect, but they were safe. More ships came. Some were from the edges of known space. Some were from planets where war never ended. Some had children who had never known peace. All of them had one thing in common. They believed Earth would not turn them away. Humanity watched these ships with quiet eyes. Their leaders met and spoke. Some feared it was a trick. Some feared the weight of caring for so many. But one voice stood strong. It came from a young diplomat born during the HFY War. She stood before the council and said, "If we turn away those in need, then we are no better than the empires we ended. Let us be the hand that lifts, not the wall that blocks." The room was silent, and one by one the council agreed. The message was sent. Refuge would be given. Earth created safe zones in space. Stations were repaired. New habitats were built, not just by humans, but by many hands. Some refugees offered help. They cleaned, they planted, repaired broken walls. In time, these places became more than shelters. They became homes. Human soldiers became peacekeepers. They walked beside alien doctors. They taught children from many races. They listened. They protected. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. But peace is never simple. There were those who did not want this. Small groups on distant planets began to whisper. They said Earth was taking too much power. They said the refugee zones were growing too fast. They feared what would happen if Earth decided to lead the galaxy, so they sent messages, secret ones. They tried to scare the refugees. They spread lies. They warned them to run. But something had changed. The refugees did not run. They stood. They spoke. Zarkith Elder said, "We have seen fear. We have lived in darkness. Earth gave us light. We will not leave it." A child from a broken world drew a picture of a human holding hands with her mother. She gave it to a soldier and said, "You saved us. The lies could not break what had been built." Earth did not answer the threats with war. They sent envoys. They invited leaders to visit. They opened their homes and let others see the truth. Some still refused. But many began to understand this was not a new empire. This was something different. The galaxy had watched Earth destroy two mighty empires. But now they saw something more powerful. They saw Earth protect the weak, heal the hurt, and welcome the lost. And the stars, which once echoed with war, began to echo with new voices. Voices of thanks. Voices of hope. Voices that believed in something better. In the quiet of space where so many had once feared the name of Earth, there was now a prayer on many lips. May the humans hear us. May they help us. May they come. The human council sat in silence. Outside their window, stars blinked like distant fires. On their screens were numbers, maps, and names. The refugee zones had grown. There were now hundreds of ships parked near Earth's stations. New colonies were being built, slowly but surely. Food and medicine were shared. Safety had returned to many lives, but not everyone was pleased. A few voices inside the council warned about danger. They spoke about the pressure on resources, the chance of spies, and the fear that Earth would be seen as weak. Others reminded them of the past, of the wars, of the cries for help, and of the promise they made when they first opened their doors. It was not an easy choice. The young diplomat stood again. Her voice was clear and steady. "We are strong, not because we conquer, but because we care. If we close our hands now, we lose more than safety. We lose who we are." Her words hung in the air. Finally, the vote was made. Earth would continue to help. But they would also send more peacekeepers, more supplies, and more teachers to the outer zones. They would grow, but with care. On the edge of known space, a new refugee colony was rising. It was called Haven Reach. It was built on a cold planet. Rich with clean air and strong ground, humans worked beside aliens. They planted crops, built homes, and made schools. Children played in the snow while parents shared stories by firelight. One of the peacekeepers, Captain Elias, watched over the camp. He was not young, and his face showed many years of battle. But in Haven Reach, he smiled more than he had in years. He taught self-defense to young aliens, helped fix broken roofs, and listened to the old ones tell stories of lost homes. But one night, a warning came. A ship without a name appeared near Haven Reach. It did not answer calls. It moved slowly, watching. Then it disappeared behind a moon. Some feared pirates. Others feared something worse. Captain Elias called Earth. Reinforcements came, but quietly. They did not wish to scare the people. Human scouts searched the area. They found pieces of old tech-hidden cameras and tracking tools. Someone had been watching the refugees, learning their ways. Trying to find a weak spot, Captain Elias spoke to the people. He told them the truth. There may be danger. But you are not alone. The people stayed. They worked harder. They built walls. Not to keep others out, but to protect the children. One day, a small ship landed. From it came a group of aliens with empty hands and tired eyes. They said they had run from a new group of raiders. Their world had been burned. They had heard stories of Earth. They begged for a place in Haven Reach. Captain Elias looked at them. He saw fear, but he also saw trust. He gave a single nod. You are welcome here. The new arrivals helped build more homes. They shared what they knew. They warned of growing danger in the dark corners of the galaxy. Raiders who had power, who wore old Zarkith armor and carried Yulari weapons. Earth listened. They did not panic. They planned. Soon, a new fleet was built. Not a fleet for war, but for protection. Ships with strong shields, fast engines, and bright lights. They were called Guardians. They flew between safe zones, watching, helping, guiding. Other species saw these ships. Some feared them, some cheered. But one thing was clear. Earth was not building an empire. They were building a wall of light in a galaxy that had known too much darkness. In Haven Reach, the stars looked peaceful. But the people knew peace must be protected and still. The refugees came. From burned worlds, from broken moons. From silence, they came with hope. And Earth was there, waiting, watching, ready. Asterisk across the galaxy. The name of Earth was now spoken with both fear and respect. They had not built an empire, but their ships moved like guardians through space. They did not take planets, but they protected those who needed help. Many species, once proud and powerful, had now joined in a quiet peace. But peace is not the end of fear. In deep space, hidden from the maps, something old was waking. A group that had waded through the wars, through the rise and fall of empires. They were not builders, they were destroyers. They called themselves the Shadows of Flame. They did not wear uniforms, did not fly under flags. They used stolen ships and hidden codes. They attacked refugee convoys, destroyed medical stations, and burned farms. They did not want power. They wanted to break hope. One of their messages was caught. It said, "Break the spirit and the walls will fall." Earth's leaders saw the message. They did not answer with anger. They answered with action. The Guardian. Fleet was expanded. More stations were armed. Refugee colonies were warned and protected. At Haven Reach, Captain Elias stood before a group of young refugees. He spoke in calm words. There are those who fear what we have built. They will try to take it from us. But they cannot take what we will not give. The children nodded. They had already seen too much loss to forget what safety felt like. A month. Later, an alert came from a small station near the star called Emberlight. A group of ships was under attack. Human ships arrived too late. The station was gone. But in the wreckage, they found something strange. One of the attackers had left. A signal. It was not just a threat. It was a challenge. Come stop us, if you can. Earth did not reply with fire. They studied the signal. They tracked it to a dark cluster of stars, far beyond safe space. It was a trap, but Earth would not ignore it. A plan was made. Captain Elias was chosen to lead a quiet mission. It's not a fleet, but a whisper. His team was small but skilled. Soldiers, engineers, and a few alien allies who had lived through the worst. They moved through the dark like ghosts. They found hidden bases where the shadows of flame trained. They listened. They learned. They did not attack first, waited then. On one cold moon they found something terrible. Prison built into the ice. Inside were refugees, stolen from the convoys. Hungry, cold, but alive. Captain Elias gave the order. No more waiting. His team struck fast.
Ow.
The battle was short. The enemy was not ready for justice. The prisoners were freed. One young girl, barely able to walk, took Ilias's hand and said, "You found us. The mission changed everything." Now the galaxy knew the truth. The shadows of flame were not just raiders. They wanted to destroy all that Earth had. It's helped build. But the galaxy did not run. They stood, from distant planets and forgotten moons. Messages were sent to Earth. We will not hide. We will help teach us, guide us. Let us stand with you, Earth answered. With one word together, a council was formed. It's not ruled by Earth, but shaped with its help. Refugees and warriors, doctors and builders, humans and aliens, all shared the table. They made plans to protect the zones, to find those still in danger, and to stop the shadows before they spread. It was not easy. The enemy was smart. They moved fast. They changed names. But the light was growing. In Haven Reach, children painted. Stars on the walls. A station near Emberlight. A team of humans and aliens finished a school. On a moon once ruled by fear, a flag was raised. It was not Earth's flag, it was a new one. A circle of stars around a single open hand. It meant hope, and Earth stood behind it, not above it. And the stars listened again. Years had passed since the first refugee ship arrived near Earth. In that time, the stars had changed. War was no longer the first answer. Fear was no longer the only voice. The name of Earth had become more than a warning. It had become a promise. The Guardians still flew between worlds. They still watched, still protected. But now they were not alone. Ships from many species flew beside them. They wore different colors and came from different places, but they shared the same goal. They guarded peace. The shadows of flame had not disappeared, but they were weaker. Their attacks had failed. Their lies had been broken by truth, or they tried to spread fear. Earth and its allies spread hope. They rescued more prisoners. They rebuilt more homes. They stood together. On a planet once empty and cold, a great city had been built. It was not human. It was not alien. It was both. Tall towers made from many materials. Streets filled with many voices. Children of all kinds ran and laughed. Traders from different worlds shared goods. Teachers from Earth and other planets taught side by side. At the heart of the city stood a hall. Inside, leaders met each week. They spoke many languages, but they listened with one heart. They did not always agree, but they always tried to understand. This council was the dream of many, and it was real. Captain Elias walked through the city one morning. He was older now. His hair was gray. His steps were slower, but his eyes still watched with care. He smiled at the children. He nodded to the guards. Some waved, some saluted. All remembered what he had done. That night a message came, small. Ship was approaching from deep space. No one knew where it had come from. It flew alone, without shields or weapons. It sent one message, over and over again. We ask for help. We have lost our world. Elias gave the order.
Aye!
Let them land. The ship was old. Its hull was burned. Its engines almost dead. When it opened, a group of aliens stepped out. Thin, tired, scared. They looked at the city with wide eyes. One stepped forward. He fell to his knees and said, "We were taught to fear Earth. But when the fire came, we ran here. Because even enemies spoke of your mercy." Elias helped him up. Did not speak of war or power. Said only, "You are safe now." The new group was given shelter. Doctors came. Food was shared. Children were given toys. And that night, in the Great Hall, the council voted. New people would be part of the city. They would not just be guests, they would belong. The vote was not just about one group. It was a message to the stars. Earth would not stop. They would not close their doors. They would protect, they would guide, and they would share. In time, songs were written. Some in human words, some in others. They told stories of pain and healing, of war and peace. They spoke of ships flying in darkness and hands reaching out, of stars that once burned with fire, now shining with hope. And in the center of the city, a monument was built. It was made from metal taken from old battlefields. It showed no weapons. It showed a human holding the hand of a Zarkith child, an Ulari teacher standing with a human healer. In a circle of people from many worlds. Below it were simple words. We remember, we protect, stand together. Captain Elias stood before the monument one last time. He touched the stone and closed his eyes. Around him, the city lived. The stars were calm. And the future was open. Because Earth had not only survived, Earth had changed the galaxy. And the stars listened again.